Tapper is standing by for the lead. Hi, Jake.
Hey, Casey. We'll look for more tomorrow in the arena.
See you soon.
President Trump today wanting to make it very clear he wasn't even friendly with Jeffrey Epstein. Really? The lead starts right now. President Trump, earlier today, attempting, once again, to distance himself from the dead pedophile and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, calling Epstein a sleazebag and more. But what are the revelations in the 3 million pages of Epstein files that are leading him to go on the attack? Plus, an urgent search for the mother of a colleague, Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Investigators are calling Nancy Guthrie's home crime scene. What else is leading authorities to believe this is more than just a missing persons case? And the real reason President Trump is closing the Kennedy Center, the Trump Kennedy Center, for at least 2 years. A congressional member of the Kennedy Center Board of Trustees will be here with her take. Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we're going to start in our Law and Justice lead. President Trump on defense over the Epstein files released. This afternoon on Truth Social, the president claimed he, quote, wasn't friendly with Epstein, writing, quote, additionally, unlike so many people that like to talk trash, I never went to the infested Epstein Island, but almost all of these crooked Democrats and their donors did, unquote. Now, President Trump's claim that he was never friendly with Jeffrey Epstein is simply a lie. It's not a secret. They were once friends. To illustrate, there are pictures, there is video, even a 2002 interview with New York Magazine where Trump said, quote, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It has even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life, unquote. Now, we should note that was before Jeffrey Epstein was arrested a few years later. It sounds pretty friendly, though. And if you want to know why Trump is posting this now, look no further than the 3 million Epstein documents the Justice Department was forced to release on Friday. Trump's name appears in them more than 1,000 times. Some of the references to President Trump were benign. Others included newly disclosed, unverified sexual assault claims. Now, there's no public evidence that any of the allegations against President Trump contained in the new documents were deemed credible by the FBI, but let's also be clear about unverified allegations in general. Critics suggest that the FBI may not have seriously looked into many of the allegations against many men that appear in the Epstein files. Why? Well, there have been other huge cases where women and girls made allegations against powerful men, and it initially went nowhere. Take, for example, former Team USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar, who was convicted ultimately of sexually abusing young athletes under the guise of medical treatment. An Inspector General report on the Nassar case found that senior officials in the FBI's Indianapolis field office failed to respond to allegations against the doctor with the seriousness and urgency they deserved, and made errors when responding to those allegations. This triggered a larger audit of the FBI's handling of tips on sex offenses against children. That audit says that out of the 327 case files that they audited, 42 incidents were flagged for further FBI review. In one instance, the report says, quote, the FBI did not take appropriate investigative action for over a year. During this period, the suspect allegedly victimized at least one additional minor for a period of approximately 15 months. The FBI only taking action here after the Inspector General brought it to the FBI's attention. The report saying the suspect was then indicted on federal charges. So no one should automatically assume that the FBI handles every tip perfectly. Separately, there's also apparently a major problem with some of the files that were released Friday. Lawyers representing Epstein survivors report literally thousands of redaction failures that expose Epstein survivors. They called it an unfolding emergency. They're asking judges to force the Justice Department to take down all of the documents until those proper redactions are made. This, as a New York Times review found, that even more disturbing content that identifies victims. More on that in a moment. The Justice Department says it's working around the clock to fix any issues that identify Epstein survivors. What about information that identifies people who might have committed crimes with Epstein? Well, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche told my colleague Dana Bash on State of the Union that there is no one to prosecute.
There's a lot of emails, there's a lot of photographs, there's a lot of horrible photographs that appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or people around him, but that doesn't allow us necessarily to prosecute somebody.
No, you can't necessarily prosecute someone based on an email or a photograph, of course, but you can use an email or photograph to follow up and investigate. And the American people are left wondering whether that's happening at all. It doesn't sound like it. CNN's Tom Foreman has a closer look at many of the other new revelations from this latest batch of the Epstein files.
I didn't see it myself, but I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping.
The newly released documents do contain a list compiled last year by the FBI of unproven allegations that President Donald Trump committed sexual assault, including one woman saying he raped her when she was just 13. That same woman sued Trump in 2016 over the claims, but dropped the lawsuits shortly after bringing them. In another section, one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims says Ghislaine Maxwell presented her to Trump at a party. When asked about this, the White House points to a Justice Department statement that the files may include, quote, fake or false submitted images, documents, or videos. And Trump has always denied such allegations.
In July, the Department of Justice said that we had reviewed the files, the quote, Epstein files, and there was nothing in there that allowed us to prosecute anybody.
Still, the files have put a number of high-profile people in an unwanted spotlight. A series of photos appears to show former British Prince Andrew kneeling by a woman or girl on the floor. There is no context, and CNN's requests for comment were not immediately answered. Billionaire Elon Musk has previously said he refused an invitation to Epstein's island. The documents suggest he wanted to be there for the wildest party. After the release, Musk posted, "I have never been to any Epstein parties ever and have many times called for the prosecution of those who have committed crimes with Epstein." Howard Lutnick, Trump's Secretary of Commerce, said he and his wife decided to cut ties with Epstein 2 decades ago.
My wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Yet the documents point to at least a couple of attempts to socialize with Epstein after that. The Commerce Department says Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing. Another one-time top Trump advisor, Steve Bannon, appears in the files, at times mocking the president. And the famous names go on, though notably many show no links to any potential illegality. Dinner invitations for Woody Allen, Martha Stewart, and Katie Couric, who said here, "I know you're not a foodie, but the lasagna was rockin'." Billionaire Richard Branson, New York Giants owner Steve Tisch are mentioned, and so is Brett Ratner, seen in a photo on a sofa with Epstein and some young women. He's the director of that new Melania Trump film. The new release brought at least one fresh controversy, too. The New York Times raised the possibility that the Justice Department had released nearly 40 unredacted images showing both nude bodies and the faces of the people portrayed, noting the people in the photos appeared to be young. Soon after informing the Justice Department of this, the Times says officials have largely removed or redacted the images, and the DOJ, as you noted, Jake, has been saying it's working around the clock to address any victim concerns and additional redactions, which raises a subject many skeptics still want better explained. What was the complete Justice Department guidance for redactions? And is there information we still ought to know hiding behind all those black boxes and in the documents we haven't made our way through? I will say this, when you look at that case of the New York Giants co-owner, Steve Tisch, when you read the notes in there,
they're gross.
Oh my gosh, he's talking about being at a party where he met a woman at Epstein's house, and he says, is she a professional or a civilian?